In the old halls, they taught the laws of thought. 3 were named, but 1 was nearly lost. Aristotle pointed close, but never quite named the chain. Hamilton saw it clearly. And now it's time. We remembered what was always there. Thought is not a field of scattered stones. It is a single chain, from ground to what it owns. Every claim must rest on something that came before, and that something leads to what comes after, nothing more. No need for 3 bright boxes, possible, actual, necessary. Those are extra labels when the chain is true and steady. Logic isn't sorting categories on a shelf. It's following the thread that holds the thinking to itself. Follow the chain, reason to consequent. No broken links, no leaps of faith, no argument half spent. Every ground demands its outcome, every outcome needs its ground. The 4th law holds the thinking world together, safe and sound. Follow the chain, from reason to what must be. The law was never missing, it was only waiting to be seen. Look around today and watch the chains all break. People shout conclusions with no ground beneath the state. Possible becomes it happened, necessary becomes my side. Without the chain we drift, we argue, and the truth gets left behind. AI dreams up answers with no reason it can show. Feeds reward the loudest claim, not the one that holds. The mess we're in began the day we let the law slip free. Forgot the simple rule that keeps a mind from floating endlessly. So here's the test, the simple practice you can use. When any claim appears in front of you, ask the ground, what holds this up? What came before this view? Then trace the line. Where does it lead? What follows if it's true? If the chain breaks anywhere, the thought is not yet through. No fancy categories needed, no ancient fog to cut. Just ground, connection, consequent. That's logic doing what it must. Follow the chain, reason to consequent. In every conversation, every post, every argument. The 4th law was never lost, it was only left behind. Pick it up, use it daily, let clear thinking come alive. Follow the chain, from reason to what must be. The law belongs to anyone who's willing now to see. Aristotle merely touched it. Hamilton named it true. Now the chain is in your hands. Use it well. The thinking world is waiting for you.
And think we are live. Welcome. This is this is open invitation for anybody that does want to come. I know well, and a warning as well, really, because if you get triggered at any time by anything that's said in here, you know, just switch off. It's not worth getting upset about things nowadays. I mean, we are just, what we're here is talking about reality and, you know, events that happen that make us smile, I guess. People should be happy about stuff in, you know, modern day. it's a bit depressing, so we don't want to be doing that to anyone. So if you feel a bit sad or whatever, maybe this isn't the place. Yeah, we're just talking about it. The topic is Logos dead? I mean, I've tried to talk logic to people. I tried to point out Nathan Oakley and he's affirming the consequent. It's still not been addressed. You know, I think it's a modern day example of affirming the consequent. And since people aren't really aware of logic, or I mean, even what does affirming the consequent even mean in 2026 to people? Especially people in the debate arena. You'd think it was, I mean, if it had been mentioned a fair few times, you'd think that it would be understood as to what it meant. Even false dichotomy. Some people struggle at that. Topic here is just basic logic, and is it still alive today? Can people still use it? A lot of people do this debate thing. But what about just basic logic? Simple stuff. I mean, modus tollens doesn't mean anything, really. I think only means something, you know, within the arena if you've ever experienced these things. Otherwise, they're just words. My missus used to go mad at me for using words that she didn't understand. And if you start using words that need an explanation for what the words mean, then it makes the conversation a lot longer. So, is Logos dead? Is it gone? Is there any need for logic and that sort of stuff modern day anymore, particularly in the debate arena? That's what I mean. I had the privilege of listening to Nathan Oakley do like 9-10 hours in a room filled with people, and he was, you could say, fielding questions, but I don't think there was. I don't think anybody came to any conclusion about anything at all. So, basic. Is logic dead? Have we killed it? Like Nietzsche said, God is dead. I mean, is logic coming after? Is that, you know, the intermediary? Is that got to go next? And what happens when it's gone? So, fourth law, reason and consequent, like the opening tune says. It's the law that was missed. We've got the law of identity, the excluded middle, and the law of non-contradiction. Who even knows them? We do, because we've been doing that sort of stuff. It would be good for, you know, to get people to sort of, you know, take them on a bit of reason and consequent. And now I watched a video earlier, came from Nathan Oakley, but it's about the sky being flat, and I thought, what the fuck's that? What's he going on about? Why do you even do that? Let's see whether we can do this. Yeah. It's already on there for you, isn't it? Shorts. It's only got 57 views. Right, here we go. Right. Have we got any Discord on there? I got Discord's open now. Hopefully the mic should be working for Discord. Right here. Check this out, right? And since the opening, we're talking about the fourth law now of reason and consequent. Have a listen to this fella and tell me what's going on here.
Over a planar surface for it to be represented with the arc of the protractor in terms of the angle representation of your position with respect to a planar sky. If this is your zenith with respect to the sky, something over here on a parallel planar sky beyond your zenith, if you were to measure it, the degree is represented by the curve. That's what we're talking about. But the degree measurement being represented by a curve just represents where it's positionally represented to us as we look at the star from the ground. So it's a parallel, that's planar sky over a planar surface for it to be
right, a planar skies. Like what's the purpose of that? I don't know. I'm thinking possibly he wants to piss off the Neil and the dome flat earthers. I think Nathan's going his own way with a planar sky for his container. I mean, we don't know whether the container's like square sides on it or whether it's got a cylindrical side, but parallel sky. That's what Nathan's going with. But then the protractor as well. The planar protractor sky. Now, I'm sorry, flat earthers, but that doesn't make any sense. It's what you can quite easily call nonsense. And there's not much logic going on with nonsense. I mean, you could probably make an argument some way that, if the sky is planar, parallel, flat, or whatever you want to call it, then the container has a planar, flat thing, maybe. Or maybe you could measure the distance to the lights in the sky that are in the planar sky. I'm sort of wondering whether Nathan actually knows what the geometric terms actually mean. But
yeah, it's gonna mess up the firmament. That I mean, with his protractor model, he's got his knockoff Rolex flat Earth there at the bottom, and that's usually presented, inside the ball. That's how I visualize it and how it's presented every day.
He's been presenting it for years.
Hell.
Yeah, in the middle of a ball.
The protractor around over the top, which represents the globe. But now he says it's a parallel sky. So, if there's a parallel firmament or a container, a flat ceiling, then does it curve down at the edges someplace, or is it like a rectangular terrarium.
Well,
How
there's
does the
more
firmament fit in
questions,
there
isn't there?
for Neil? More questions than answers, that's for sure.
Yeah,
And he
Nathan.
says
This
that
is
you're not
Nathan's
on it,
video.
and you're not in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he does say you're not in it, and you're not on it. So what then? Because that's how he presents it. I mean, that's how the image comes to me. That's for sure. And I look at all the images he has on his slideshow every day, and his descriptions, and the circles of equal elevation that he talks about, latitudes emanating from the center point of the North Pole, going outwards to the equator. He hasn't got a clue what happens and doesn't care what happens beyond the equator, but that's enough. If it's flat up to the equator, it's flat everywhere for him. So that's the image, certainly for me, that he's painted. And today, when I was listening to him, I was thinking, is this just his idea that he's trying to tell us about? But he hasn't said, this is just my idea of it. And you find your own. But I see a protractor. Well, I don't see a protractor, but he does see one, and he presents that to his audience. That's his protractor, and the circles on the ground that come from measuring the angle to Polaris. If you ask him about it, though, he denies any of it exists. It's not his. He doesn't have anything to do with it. It's someone else's, but we're not quite sure whose it is. But I believe, if I can see those pictures, there must be a lot of people who've been doing this for a long time who also have those images or something similar.
Yeah,
That,
images that he's give them, right?
He's given them, yeah.
On his show, every day, these
yeah.
images have been on roll, repeat, over
Yeah,
and over.
That's all we've got, isn't it? Is all we've got from anybody is what they describe and whatever image that presents for you. And some of that could be subjective, and some of it could be something where you all objectively share a kind of an understanding, an image, a AE map representation, or something like that. Pretty sure it must happen for most people. And this has been going on for a long time. I mean, some of the images are users, it seems they've had the writing taken off of them, and that makes it even more crazy when you see some of the legends that are on the diagrams.
Yeah, he's not made one of those diagrams for himself. Not one of them. They've all been given to him, so he can put them out.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I kind of see 10th Man in a lot of those. I don't know if that's where they all came from. I've heard it said, these came through 10th Man from navigation, cell nav books. I don't know where exactly where they came from, but it seeks to represent the flat Earth as being something like that. There's often a stick man in the middle, measuring an angle. Often there's three circles, three angles, three circles still inside the ball. And I'd begun to visualize that, and other people have added to their versions and what might go on beyond the south. Nathan doesn't do that. Other people do that and try to give an image, represent something that goes on beyond the equator. Some have a straight line, some have a circle. Nathan has a circle, but yesterday he was asked about it and he refused to give an answer to it. I mean, these people must be confused. They've been told that. They've repeated those kind of things, those messages out in the world.
He's
out in the
just
arena, the world of the arena.
It's not as if he's a subject matter expert like he claims to be.
Well,
conveniently.
Yeah, you would think there would be. Yeah, you'd think you'd be able to go to the professor and say, "Excuse me, I know we had this tutorial this week, and I sat in the lecture. It was 3 hours, and then a few people fell asleep and things, but." There's a couple of bits I didn't quite get. Do you think, I could get maybe a little private tuition or find out a little bit more about exactly what you mean? I thought perhaps that's, his visits. I know he's a paid monkey these days and he'll dance for any organ grinder. And yesterday he was paid to go to worldwide debates. And I thought that would be the platform where you could ask questions of the tutor. the guy who's selling the story. Apparently not. Apparently not. He just brings out his one of his monsters to entertain us. He's very aware of his monsters, and I think probably one of them is the one that pushes men into heads into pillows. And that's all we have. That's all we've got to live with, right?
It was a little bit gay yesterday. If anybody's
It was very
not-
camp, wasn't it?
not seen
It's getting worse.
what happened yesterday over at Worldwide Debate. Oof.
Yeah, 9 hours of campness.
And I feel a kinship with the flat earthers. I do. It's not
Yeah.
I'm not against flat earthers in general, because they're just people that are looking for answers. Maybe
Well, as we all,
yeah.
as we all have. Yeah. We've all been doing that, looking for answers. I mean, it's certainly been my journey in these things, and it has been flat Earth. What the flat Earthers got to say? What's the story?
Yeah.
Is it plausible? Can I fit it into my experience?
Some people have
like
been
a
in
lot of
this for
people.
quite a few years, right? Some are new people, right? I mean, I don't know how many new people come into the arena and actually stay for any length of time, because it is a very strange place. Very strange. It's hard for anybody to fit in this arena and trying to make sense of it. Because if Nathan Oakley says that the sky's flat, parallel skies, which is crazy, right? Your brain can't even process what he's talking about. The air is some parallel somewhere. Like, what's he talking about? Since he's a flat earther, he can only mean his dome or his container or whatever. So, that's crazy. That's
antecedent to gas pressure. It's got to be a container. So,
yeah.
Is it a flat-topped container?
His flawed reasoning about pressure in a container leads him to conclude that the air needs a container. So, therefore, his container must have flat top. It's a flat-topped container. Nobody knows, but can you ask Nathan Oakley a question? I can't. He's made a video, a short. I can't comment on it because he's blocked me.
Yeah, me too.
And who else could ask him a question about it? Yeah.
I think I must be quite threatening to him. That's all I can think. That somehow he's intimidated by me. That's all it can be, because he just seems to want to mute me if I ask him questions or give him a bit of his own medicine. Sit down, boy. That's what he does to people. Supposed to humiliate people and intimidate them. He doesn't quite like it when it's kind of given back to him and a mirror is held up to his behavior. He just doesn't seem to cope with that. He's never wanted to answer any of my questions anyway, for very long. That's been my experience of him.
People often say that about me, right? I don't answer questions, but maybe I just don't answer questions the way they want me to answer the questions. But I mean, who knows, right? It's all about how you process information, and we have to have a common language within discussion for communication purposes. And I say that's logic. But the more you try and do that, it seems like, the more angst you get out of people. They say you're playing word games or not. You're just trying to be precise with, words so we can have an understanding. Seems to me like it is lost.
Yeah, it's better people reason themselves into their own, position of knowing. It's not really got much value. That's a lot of that's going on. Like Nathan will hand out some scripts, some mantras of things. People think, oh, ha, 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 that's very funny. I don't know that they get it, don't think they get it, but they just repeat it. And then they say, oh, the government's lying to you and you've been, indoctrinated by education for all these years since you were a child. And I find that's happening, amongst the flat earthers as well as it is amongst the globers. I don't see any different, and I expected something different. I expected there to be a different mentality to it. That people would actually not be doing that, wouldn't be encouraging people to believe, wouldn't be saying, I haven't done it. Somebody's done it, but not me. But I can't produce
Everybody
somebody
else
who I
has done
say
it, but
it.
not me.
Yeah,
That's
everybody.
Nathan's thing.
Yeah. But I can't produce somebody who has done it, who will come here and back me up and say, yes, I am a pilot, I am a surveyor, I have measured the earth flat. You are correct. And, that's kind of what he needs, really. If you haven't got anything and you've got nothing to back you up on it, then just simply stating that is ridiculous, really. No matter what you kind of think or the image you got in your mind, I mean, it doesn't prove anything. Got to turn that belief into some knowledge somewhere. That's the first lesson, the first thing I heard, really, that kind of got me kind of thinking and interested in this whole topic and in this arena, was that thing between belief and knowledge. What do you believe and what do you actually know? It made me stop and think and look at myself and think about what I was saying. And did I actually own that? Is it something I knew? Was I just repeating something? And that really was quite a strong thing for me. And that's kind of been my thing all the way along, really. And I'd expected that those people who were saying it wouldn't actually be doing what, they'd be practicing what they were preaching. And they're not.
It is, isn't it? It's like you have to check yourself just to make sure you're not lying. If you find yourself saying something that you can't actually back, then you shouldn't really say it.
Yeah. That's a conditioned position as well. I think that we do say things that we don't actually know and don't believe. I think that's part of a conditioned response to things. And it's hard to pull yourself up and judge yourself from within and say, am I really telling the truth here? Do I really know anything about this? Have I got something of truth to give out to people or to any situation? What do I really know? What do I really believe? What do I know? It can be quite hard, yeah. I guess it's that thing that is often called, I think, the work you do on yourself, that people do on themselves, try and improve themselves. And it doesn't mean we're perfect. Just you're on the journey of trying to better your understanding, better your knowledge, understand what can be known, or even there's things you think that just can't be known, that'll never be known, and accept that.
The way, right? The path, the way.
Yeah,
it's the only way to find truth is through logic, logos. You can't get there otherwise. You need to be able to.
It's nothing new. It's not a new thing.
No.
Yeah, it's been going on for centuries. And the people we've looked at, the people that other people in here may have looked at, philosophy and philosophers of the past, thinkers of the past. We are no different than they are. One time in the future, somebody will be talking about us. Maybe not us personally, but us as a collective of people. What were they doing, those ancients back then? Will they have hidden the story about this time?
Yeah, what stories?
Will people be able to find out about it? Yeah, what will
who's
they be
writing
saying?
the books modern day, right? Who are they? Who are the ancients that are going to be people picking up books to see, what the great literary advice was of the time of 2026,
Especially in this digital age where people don't read so much. How will that be quantified in the future? If there isn't a book to pick up, There isn't what's being written down. I mean, stuff is being put into the digital arena, into AI, and that's
Easily
going to become a
manipulated, isn't it?
resource.
Easily manipulated.
Very
that.
easy. Yeah. We've discovered that recently. Just asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, go and ask AI to, if it's somebody, well, perhaps they're perhaps not famous. Not to say that Bev's famous, but so, something was said a while back. Somebody posted something that AI had an opinion about Bev. What? How can AI have this, this opinion? It was a wrong opinion. So, I went to Gemini and put in, do you know this character called Bev Try Thinking? And it returned me this answer. Yes, and it all related to he's in a debate arena was one of the things. And I asked for the source of the information, and it came back with McToon, Icon Science, that, and Blue Marble Science. And I thought, well, what's being described here isn't the person that I know, isn't the Bev that I know. And question Gemini, have a look at the website. Have you seen the website? Oh, yes. And then it tried to frame what was on the website into the position that had been given. Must be over some time that AI has been influenced by McToon, Icon Science, that Blue Marble Science, and others, no doubt. They were the ones, the sources I asked for. Where were your sources? And I challenged Gemini. Well, you're just taking the opinion of these people who seemingly want to poison the well. They're not talking from an unbiased position, but they've loaded the AI up with the information. And now you have this picture, and so we had to go deeper into the website. It still wanted to frame, to go on the level live. Yeah, is it live? On the level.live, isn't it? Yeah, if you go on there, there's some arguments presented there. And I said, have you seen this argument? And I looked and gave it the link, and it still framed it within the opinion of its sources. In the end, it agreed with me that it had taken a biased approach. But, most people, when they go to Google, they go to you go and search. How many people go to page 2? More results. I mean, generally, people are just using the results that are given on the first page. I think in general, maybe people go to 2 sometimes. So, people who might ask a question about some subject or topic or a person, they'll take perhaps for the first, or maybe only look at one result. May look at 2, 3, but if they don't dig deeper, they don't have a knowledge of someone to measure that against and say this is a true representation or not. How would people know? How will people know in the future? Because I started calling Google the King Google version. Feels like it's going to be a Bible of not just Google, but any search engine, any large language model. It's going to be like the approved narrative, it feels to me. And people will just take as as scripture, as the Bible, as the word, what they read there. It's already been said that people are not their memory is not so good because they don't need to use it. The answer's always at their fingertips on the phone. They don't have to retain answers, memory, knowledge, getting dumbed down. So yeah, I don't know in the future, how will they know about us, the people here who are alive now, and
how will they know about logic? How will they know about fallacy? Yeah. I mean, if you don't know logic, then how are you meant to spot a fallacy? And if you can't spot a fallacy, then you could be being lied to, right? People could be blatantly just
easily. Yeah,
talking nonsense, and you wouldn't even know.
yeah. What was the thing we came about this week? We looked at this exhaustion. Can you remember what that was? That people, they look into a topic, or maybe you'd be discussing things. Maybe you've had it. People sort of roll their eyes, and you can see they're kind of not wanting to engage. That's enough, or they seek an answer, and it gets a bit. Some of these things can take quite some time, and people just think, "Oh, I haven't got the time for that." Yeah, I'll just believe the consensus. I'll go with the consensus because I haven't got time. I've got to do the shopping. I've got to look after the kids. I've got to whatever it might be that keeps people distracted from.
Was it the Hannah Arendt stuff?
Yeah, I think it was. It stood out for me. This kind of thing. Oh, yeah, that's that's the picture of reality to me. It was, to see that people just have this exhaustion, and and then we got Nathan. They're doing that thing. I mean, who does know what he was doing there? Who does know really what was going on there? How many different versions could there be of what he's doing? But he does present himself as an authority, subject matter expert, he calls himself. Now he's kind of ducking out, so I'm just a YouTuber, as if, that kind of absolves him of any responsibility of any stories he tells.
I can't remember how many times I had to ask him if the equator, his equator, is circular, and he said he doesn't have an equator. It's not his equator.
Yeah.
That's as far as we got.
Your equator, you're talking about? No, I haven't got an equator. I never made a claim.
Ridiculous.
But that's all I've heard from him ever since I came across him. That's what I've heard.
I've got
celestial navigation,
footage of him actually saying it. Latitude, circular.
Yeah.
Circular. Nathan Oakley, circular.
He's kind of denying
latitude.
it. I mean,
there's a video here.
Yeah. What does his people think? What does Len and Neil and One Deck think when, being told that story, and then they have to? I heard him the other day talking to George. George said, you can't get an angle from a curve. You're going to need a flat Earth for that. And Nathan says, what? You can get an angle from a curve. I thought, what? What's he saying? I mean, that's kind of satanic to say that somehow.
No, they've had circular east-west for years. I mean,
on that, yes, on that,
Jaron, telling Jaron about that.
Yeah. But then he says, we have got curves. They're called hills.
They have east-west circles, but then they have to deny.
There's a lot of things that happen.
It's weird.
Yeah. Well, we know there's a lot of things that happen on the azimuth that couldn't possibly happen in the vertical axis. That just can't happen. But they have it on the azimuth, and if you dare ask a question, can you clarify that? How can that be? How can you can have that contradiction here, but over there you say, you're a globe-tard, you're a psycho, all the terms that are given to that, got to be more than that. Got to be some, if there's a question, there has to be an answer, or maybe there isn't an answer, and we can give that to a higher being, a greater thing, something that's beyond our ability to know about. But the question would still remain.
I mean, we get a chance to make arguments here, right? Pretty simple arguments. We like to pride ourselves upon advanced simplicity, we call it, breaking things down to the simplest you could possibly do it. And I sort of I talk in argument form, right? In if-thens. I just have that sort of a mind now. I've been doing it for years. So if east and west are circles, like Nathan Oakley says, then the cardinal directions can't be perpendicular. Simple as that. But the cardinal directions are perpendicular. So you've got a choice. How do you do that?
You server boot somebody. That's how you deal with it. Yeah.
See, PT's wrote there, hosted by a content creator known as Bev. The channel frequently challenges widely accepted scientific models, particularly globe Earth geometry. Well, 'tis globe. It's literally on my website. I mean, I'm the one that states we can prove globe, PT. It's wrong, isn't it? What's the challenge? You tell me what the challenge is. Does the flat Earth have a scientific model that needs challenging? I'd say they don't. So what's the model that I challenge? I'm the only one that can prove globe, as far as I know. Nathan Oakley blocks me and bans me because of it. I've stated many times. You can as well prove horizontal distances. Prove the globe. Simple. Horizontal distances in reality. The globe, reality. Like, surely you can put them together. Anyone can do that, right? Where's the challenge?
Yeah.
Challenge is yours, PT. I mean, if you can't do it. But it just goes to show how easily it is that you can just Google something and get something completely wrong, because there's a group of people, I think, people like that, Blue Marble Science and I Can Science That and McToon, and they're where the blame should lie for people like Nathan Oakley believing horizontal is flat Earth. I mean, it's ridiculous. Horizontal's in reality. Flat Earth isn't reality. So how can the horizontal be flat Earth? You've placed Nathan Oakley in a position now where the only thing he's got left is to go mad, because he can't get out of it. He literally believes that horizontal is flat Earth.
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely given it. I mean, McToon has told all his followers, Elder Bear's a flat earther. And I've asked him, well, what evidence do you have? You made a big claim there. You're telling all these people I'm a flat earther. What evidence, what proof do you have to back that up? And he hasn't got any. He just asked me a question. He says, are all horizontals parallel? But you've already got the evidence. You're now seeking to say that if I answer this in a certain way, this question, that confirms for you that I'm a flat earther. But he's already told people I'm a flat earther. And that's the evidence I was looking for. You've already told them I'm a flat earther. So where's the evidence that made you say that? Then we'll get to the next bit, maybe. But it's a game. If you I remember saying to him, so if my daughter's teacher told her that horizontals were parallel, is he a flat earther? Would you class him as a flat earther? And he said, well, if he came here, we'd find out.
Yeah.
So, anybody who has the notion that horizontals are parallel to each other is automatically a flat earther. So that's how the flat earth has been given ownership of the horizontal. And just by that could be how many millions of people could answer in the affirmative that the horizontals are parallel? How many flat earthers are there out there? Just by and then you can get
PT's decided though that Tis Globe is now something other than Tis Globe. Like, PT, what do you imagine Tis Globe is? Do you think it's not It Is Globe? With a shout out to Newton and the olden guys, the ones that initiated all of this stuff. Or like, what is it? Because it's a little bit weird. You axiomate the globe. It's what it is. There's no other way around it. It has to be. So maybe it's people like you, PT. Maybe you'll make a video and completely turn all of this stuff around for people like McToon to be able to claim things that aren't true about me. It's weird. You're going to put me in the same basket as Nathan Oakley, but I can prove Nathan Oakley wrong. We've already pointed out the fallacies that he's holding. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, PT. It's really weird.
Yeah, I mean, in the future, I could 400 years, I could just be known as who this person McToon has entered a file on for me on Flurf Wiki, because his evidence was that I didn't answer that question. If I'd answered the question, I'm a flat earther. If I don't answer the question, I'm a flat earther. But he already had evidence, he said. Otherwise, he couldn't have made that claim. And I said, the Earth is measurably, observably, self-evidently not flat. I've got an argument that he tells me falsifies flat Earth. Yet I'm on Flurf Wiki as a flat earther. I mean, how can that be? That's not logical. But that could be all I'm known by, in this avatarish personality I carry.
Yeah. You know why I say 'tis globe? Because it is globe. Provably. I don't know whether you heard me say that the Earth's not flat, but I believe I've said it more than anybody else has ever said it.
In history, I should imagine. Yeah. Not just recently, I guess, in history. And it may be possible to do a search to find out how many times that's been stated somewhere in digital format. Maybe there is a number that could be put to that.
Yeah, maybe there's some way of checking the internet for the amount of times a person has wrote the Earth is not flat, or I'm not a flat earther. But it doesn't really matter to some people, right? So let's say you can prove horizontal. Now, that's not much of a big thing to people because it's just an orientation, right? Of course, that wouldn't be that difficult to prove something in reality. But would proving that mean, you're a flat earther? Well, it might do to some people. And they might be willing to put your name on a website. Are you meant to stop saying it? That's what I, sort of been faced with. Coming out with a proof of a straight line. In reality, straight line lying in a plane. For fear that, some people might credit it to a group of people that don't deserve it. But, it can be proved in reality, right? Straight line, lying in a plane.
Yeah, and you've done that for yourself and through action, making action, actually going and doing something to try and prove it to yourself. And then going, hey, what about this guy? So nobody seemed to be interested in it, from what I hear, but, making action. I mean, Nathan hasn't even, and it doesn't seem as though anybody around him, any other flat earther around, will say that they've done anything, they've measured anything. They're not the ones who've measured the Earth flat. Certainly not in Nathan's panel. Nobody stands up and says, well, actually, Nathan, I've done it. We did speak to Whitsitt. He said he's done it. So there is one.
Yeah, Whitsitt is someone that I've heard claim to have measured the Earth flat, which Nathan should get Whitsitt on to have a chat with him, because according to that, that is the only person I've ever heard claim that. Personally, have measured the Earth flat. Whitsitt.
Yeah,
But
That
he
would
did it
help
7
Nathan a
years
lot
ago.
if
We
he
need
could.
to, you know,
He can't. It's a bit vague. He was a
Yeah.
bit. Yeah. He said his memory was not that
he
strong
might
about
have forgot a bit
how he
about
actually
it.
did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was amazed. I said, "What? That'd be fundamental to your core belief, and you've forgotten. You can't quite remember. Couldn't even tell us the method." But 2026.
It's definitely not flat. No, that's one thing. I can easily tell people, that in my experience of land surveying, at no point did I ever measure the earth flat. It's not something land surveyors do. And unless, anybody out there, I doubt it, but I mean, there might be some land surveyors that have measured the earth flat, but I don't think so. But I mean, it's up to Nathan to find them. You would have thought maybe they should be flocking around him. But like I've said to most people, I can quite easily represent land surveyors by saying they do not measure the earth flat. Nathan Oakley and any flat earthers that are listening to Nathan Oakley, just take heed.
It's funny because I mean, yesterday in the worldwide debate, sea level was one of the main topics of conversation and inquiry from Nathan, and they were kind of going over it today. Must have been in their heads. They're kind of a bit worried about whether they've got all the ducks in a row, and they're only just googling it today. Nathan doesn't even know where the mean sea level is based in the UK. Hasn't got a clue. Hasn't got any information about it at all. He did say something about some huts, 150 huts somewhere around some sea, some coastal area.
Yeah, I think
Certainly
that
not.
he's Googled it, and I think that's America myself.
Right. So it's not in the UK, certainly. So, but they're just Googling it today after 12 years, trying to understand this claim that mean sea level proves flat Earth. And they're Googling it today from the thing that they say is indoctrinating people. You can't be trusted for a source on the information they're giving out. I mean, surely you would have that knowledge before you put it out. You're not going back thinking, oh God, somebody asked me an awkward question yesterday. We ought to check. One deck, what did he say? Or C. It's funny, C, he said. C is sort of it's different spelling, but it's like C. Sea level, you sea level. SEE. Ah, yeah, that's amazing. As if that kind of substantiated his idea that sea level is his proof of flat Earth.
Yeah.
And they're only just Googling it to find out how it's even derived, where it came from.
There are a few years behind.
Where it is. Quite a few years, yeah, quite a few years. But subject matter experts and all, who are we to question them?
Yeah, so is logic dead? Has Nathan Oakley and the flat earthers that are around him, do they have the ability to apply logic and reasoning to the claims that Nathan Oakley's making? Or can they dismiss it by saying they're not claims and they don't use logic, so therefore no arguments being presented, no debate, just would do away with logic now? We can just say that the Earth's flat, and
well,
is that where we're going?
Nathan has said pretty much that logic is superfluous, hasn't he?
Well, there is no argument is a claim that they've all said, right?
Yeah.
So if there's no argument, there's no way of you presenting an argument to him. Because I don't know if anybody's realised this, right? But the modus tollens, like QE stated, the whole purpose of a modus tollens is to place a claim that somebody makes within the first premise. You say if, and then whatever the claim people make. And then you use reasoning, consequent, to apply a link through a chain to come to a conclusion. So if Nathan Oakley says if Nathan Oakley claims that the earth is measured flat, then the modus tollens to you to present would be if the earth is measured flat. That would be how your argument, your modus tollens would start. First premise, if claim. And the idea is to falsify it, to point out that that claim is bullshit. That's Karl Popper. It's what's called falsification.
What would be a likely cue to put in there?
Well, I put elevation change. I put elevation change. Like
so if the Earth were measured, if the Earth were measured flat, there would be no. Is it measurable elevation change?
There'd be no change in the elevation as you were measuring, because you would be measuring it flat. I.e., there would be no measurement made on the vertical.
Yeah.
And then that would be the literal definition of measuring flat.
Yeah. And then if you went out to do that measurement and you found there was elevation changes, then surely that would mean the Earth isn't flat.
Absolutely. I mean, that reasoning checks out for me personally, right?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sound sense to me too. Tell me I'm wrong, but whatever. And that's a formal logical system.
Yeah, in my understanding, that is how modus tollens is presented.
So you can safely say the Earth is not measured flat. The Earth is measured not flat. You'd be able to safely say that without any worry. I mean, the argument's there. Somebody could come along and say, well, that's not true. And maybe come up with another argument to counter.
Yeah. Well, you'd need to put a modus ponens, right? A positive spin on the argument.
Yeah.
For if you wanted to claim that the Earth were measured flat, it would have to come as a conclusion from a modus ponens, a positive argument. Then you would have an end statement.
But didn't Nathan said his argument was a modus ponens yesterday? The one we spoke about last week. If the Earth is flat, we measure it flat.
Yeah, he thinks that's
we measure it flat. The Earth is flat. I mean, I asked to discuss that yesterday. He said it was a modus ponens. That's his rebuttal to the modus tollens of you just spoke about.
Yeah, it's not measured.
That would be it, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
but
it's a fallacious claim. It's
fallacious.
It's not actually a modus ponens. It's affirming the consequent. But I mean, who knows that? It's like how can you rebut that if, like we say, Logos may be dead? How do you converse using logic if logic has been dismissed? There's no argument, but there are arguments. It's just that they refuse to field them.
Yeah, and if you don't make the journey into looking at logic and trying to understand those P-accused statements and those kind of things, and I'm not saying I know everything about it at all, but if you don't make the journey to seek knowledge about it, to understand what those words mean and how they fit together, and they can be tricky. You might become exhausted, but it's not a reason to stop looking, to stop trying to understand. Have a look again tomorrow. Have another little search, have a little think about it. I mean, some of those words, they seem a bit posh. They seem a bit, maybe don't feel that they're within your here's a word, nomenclature, within your vocabulary, within the words that you generally use. They seem to belong to other people who are smart or intelligent or whatever. And, that using the words doesn't make you intelligent at all. I can see there's, possibly it can be a bit scary to take on that language, but there is some truth there. There is truth there. And that's what I found. And that's what's urged me. I didn't know anything about arguments when I came along here. I kind of, now I look back at it and think, oh, yeah, I actually did. I use them all the time in problem solving or working out situations or thinking, I've got to go to speak to this person and I need to ask them about something. And I, think about how they might answer me based on how I approach them and what I say. And I think go through lots of processes of thinking, well, if they say this, then, and I work out the best approach. And that's a logical way of thinking. So, I realized that I do that. Just didn't put it into the form that, we've just been talking about. And then, speaking to Bev, been a good thing. We spoke about arguments. He's talked about his arguments. I've begun to understand something about them. He urged me to, make an argument, think about it, make an argument. Can't think of anything that's going to be relevant. And, with some encouragement and thinking about things, something came together and I was able to make an argument. And I made a few others since, to kind of get the hang of it. It's just like using a new tool or driving a car. Yeah. Taught my daughter to drive a car, and I went out with her the other day, and it's only been about a year that she's passed the test. And I remember taking her in my car and to this abandoned airfield and teaching her to drive, and she was struggling and stalling and stumbling. And I said, this will all be in the past one day. So the other day she took me out. We went to go out somewhere. And she's driving down the dual carriageway at 70 miles an hour, one hand on the steering wheel, eating a piece of pizza, And I said, look how far you come. These things have become automatic to you. These things that you thought weren't possible a little while back. You couldn't coordinate the pedals together and, manual gearbox, all that kind of thing. Now here you are, it's second nature. And just as easily, language, understanding arguments can become that way too. Doesn't make us special. It makes you a little bit more knowledgeable.
It's a tough place. And I know there's a lot of people, like I said at the beginning, there's a lot of people here that get a little bit triggered about, I don't know, what team people are on, what team they assumed people were on. I mean, if you're safe in your own knowledge, then I guess you're okay. But you might be worried about other people if you're not safe in your own knowledge. Keeps an open mind. We're lucky enough here to be able to understand logic, right? And to be able to see the false dichotomy that's been presented within the arena. I think that's a gift. Not many people are able to actually see the false dichotomy. A lot of people talk about it, but I don't know whether they actually see it. They just use words, I think. They use the words to give a false impression that they actually understand what a false dichotomy is. I've talked to quite a few people recently about false dichotomy, and the people that I've talked to were quite adamant that they understood what a false dichotomy is, but after a little bit of conversation, it was pretty clear that they didn't. And That's partly one of the reasons why I'm asking. Is Logos dead? Are they just words that people use now to give an impression of something, but there's not much logic linked to them, reasoning. It's a little bit sad. And mainly we are here to point out that there is a place. If you're out there and you feel like you can't really relate to people, and when you do try and apply logic and reasoning, you sort of get pushed back against, because maybe the people you're talking to, they don't understand it or whatever, then there's a Discord server on the level. There's a link underneath the thing here. You come into the Discord whenever you want. People do come. We do have some pretty good conversations, actually. We just want to let everybody know that there is a place. If you're feeling like you can't really communicate with people, there's a place. False dichotomy. Yeah, that's the way it works. Finding the truth is something that needs to be uncovered. It's the whole point of the word.
Yeah, I mean, some people don't like to say in case they're attacked, Andy Woods. Yeah, I mean, that happens a lot in this arena. People are attacked. And at the moment, there's a big paranoia going around that anybody new who isn't known, who doesn't ask the right question immediately or say the right team buzzword, will get kicked out, get timed out, banned, silenced, just for entering a chat and asking a question. Because they're so paranoid about being infiltrated, or they're so fragile with their story, with their belief system. They say it's knowledge, but it's not. It's just a belief. They're so fragile with it that they can't be questioned about it. And I figured that's the way truth lies. To ask a question and say, well, that doesn't add up. That have you thought about that? How does that work? Oh, you have thought about it. Okay, explain to me about it. Okay, right. Okay, it was my thinking that was the problem. Okay, I understand now. Or it wasn't. It wasn't adequately answered. There were more questions arose than any answers. So, yeah. So you need to be able to have the possibility to do. But certainly in this arena, it's soon closed down, ganged up upon. I was talking to a guy the other day, and while I was listening to him, he was talking about the pyramids, and then came up with this idea that there was the canals were built to float these 10-ton stones up. The 10-ton stones would float in the canal of their own. They weren't on a boat or anything, just the stones in the water. It just seemed like implausible to me, how they could have built these canals. How did they get the stones up to the walls of the canal to be high enough for a pyramid? And just questions like that, as I had an image and I asked questions, and I was attacked by all the people there or a majority of the people. And then I said, well, how are the stones floating? I've never seen a 10-ton stone floating in water. I may be wrong, but that's not been my experience. So, and then he said, oh, they had balloons. I said, oh shit, they got balloons now. You didn't say that in the first place. So this is another question. So where did the balloons come? How did that work? And then a little further along, it was denied that he even said balloons. And none of the people in there who heard him say it would agree. They just attacked me and said that I'd got the problem for asking the question. I said, but you were telling the story. The story didn't make sense. I just asked for some clarification. It's your story, not mine. So yeah, it can be difficult. And people do get attacked. There seems to be a nervousness, a fragility about people's knowledge. Maybe they don't like to feel like they're being taken to the edge of their knowledge. It exposes them to, their ignorance, or, I have to be prepared to be exposed to my ignorance too. It's only a question. I might be convinced that what I was thinking was not correct, or I'll learn something new.
This has just come around. I've just realised it or whatever. But Nathan Oakley wants to claim Euclidean geometry for flat Earth. True?
Oh,
Straight distances, right?
yeah. I think I heard
He
him.
wants to have that.
Yeah.
Now, Euclidean geometry is based upon arguments. All of the arguments, the proofs, mathematical proofs, lie within the form of Euclidean geometry. So you would expect Nathan to be able to put together an argument based within Euclidean geometry for his flat Earth. Should be pretty simple, sure, right?
Yeah.
He won't, because there is no argument for flat Earth. Nathan Oakley, even with his claim of linear distance, I can't make an argument to prove flat Earth, even with all of the might of Euclidean geometry behind him.
Well, it seems to lead to him, denying the circles of equal elevation that he's been telling everybody about. Because if the inch, the mile, the kilometer is a straight linear distance and can only be described as being straight, then any distance that is on the circles of equal altitude, say the equator, if there's a distance that's given to the equator, which Nathan has said, recording of him saying what that distance is, because it's a flat Earth measurement. The circumference of the equator is the same on the flat Earth as it is on the globe, Nathan says, because it came from flat Earth measurements. So he has a linear distance that he attributes to the equator. And yet he says, it can't be circular if it's got a mile distance, because miles are straight. You can only have straight miles. So that's dropped the latitudes have gone out of the window. The equator's gone out of the window, being a circle. The distance around the equator has to be a straight line. But, to pose these questions, excuse me, what did you say? Can you just clarify for me how can you moan about McToon putting a Taylor's tape around a desktop globe model and saying, look, here's a linear measurement, complain about that and moan and laugh at it when you've got exactly the same position. And you have to deny it. And if I was, I have tried to be around him. I've tried to be part of his little circle and ask those questions, but get kicked out for asking those questions is told to be a troublemaker, a loser, a retard, stupid person. If you listen to worldwide debates yesterday, you'll hear him saying those things about me and about Bev and other people too for asking the questions. And the people around him who just go, yeah, that was wonderful, Nathan. That was great. That's the way to be. Just agree with the boss. Because otherwise, come payday, there'll be no wages. Have you got any little videos? Have you got anything?
I was thinking of putting one together. Well, there is one for Roger. I got one for Roger, seeing as we were doing the sea level.
Roger.
Roger. Can I get that?
Yeah, poor old Roger. Roger's in troubles. He's got a lot of troubles. A lot of people are focusing on him. He's kind of wanting to put himself about and be the man about town on any available stream and be a knowledgeable person. And yeah, seems to have brought down a lot of heat on himself. in a lot of what they call flurf on flurf action
Let me,
and arguments. Big argument went on this morning, and arguments for several weeks now. Some relating to money, GoFundMe's, things like that. Where's the money? Where did it go? How much have you got left? What were the fees that were
Are
taken
people
out?
really bothered about it? You know, I mean, flat earthers obviously have been paying money for, well, Whitsitt and Jerren got a trip to Antarctica. I don't know how much people understand of all of this. There was a final experiment that got done where they took a trip, a pilgrimage, if you will, to go and see the southern sun circle, which Whitsitt placed himself at the centre of, the southern sun circle. Confirmation that the sun does circle in the south. But that wasn't good enough for the flat earthers. They didn't believe it. They thought it was in a studio or CGI, fake sun. They just
MK
didn't
Ultra.
believe it. Like any sort of thing. They went to a different place, recorded it at a different time. Oh wait a minute, let me get this. I think I'll put it in. I'll put it in the Discord because it's a bit easier to do it that way.
Yeah, well, we spoke to Whitsitt about it a couple of weeks ago, and I mean, he went there and he seemingly doesn't believe what he saw. Somehow, he saw the sun in the sky in the south and said, "Well, I'm not sure whether it is the sun.
Yeah,
It could be a reflection."
After they lost Jerren and obviously Whitsitt, they couldn't trust Whitsitt for whatever reason. They couldn't trust any of the video for also whatever reason. They decided to band together and send Roger Ledwell to Antarctic. He was going to be their next representative, and he's ended up getting £4,500, towards it. Although it'll probably cost about 60 or 70,000 for Roger to go there solo. But I mean, it seems to have slowed down a bit. But Roger's got some money, and he is the next great representative. They obviously trust him. But this is a clip. I don't know whether you guys. I'm gonna play it from the Discord. Let me know if you can hear this.
But we're going to touch on sea level, how it's derived, and it's an average of all the seas around the Earth.
So I'll put that back again. This clip's in Discord if you want to come and get it. Deplorable ilk. I don't know whether you've got it, but yeah, listen to this again.
Yep, and hear it in YouTube.
But we're going to touch on sea level, how it's derived, and it's an average of all the seas around the Earth.
There you go. So Roger Ledwell, the representative of the flat earthers that's going to go to Antarctica, he thinks sea level is the average of all of the seas around the Earth. That's Roger Ledwell, the flat Earth representative. Now, I mean, I'm not too sure whether that's what Nathan Oakley's taught him, or whether he's picked that one up on his own, or, just sheer ignorance that's what he's been led to believe. But obviously, he does a show. So, I mean, he felt comfortable enough saying that. Sea level is the average of all of the seas around the Earth, says Roger Ledwell. He obviously hasn't got a clue. But, I mean, he is a flat earther. And just to let you know, I mean, I have a look into how you do, or how we do, or how sea level, the mean, how that has been derived. in certain locations. And you'll find out that Roger Ledwell hasn't got a clue. And it was a hot topic yesterday, the sea level, when Nathan Oakley was over there. I mean, Nathan Oakley has one of his, what would you call him? A panel. One of Nathan Oakley's panel members has a thing about sea level. I mean mean sea level. That guy. And nobody's bothered to tell Roger Ledwell how they actually do derive the mean sea level, like we've been saying for years. It's measured on the vertical datum. The sea goes up and down, tides, obviously. And what you do is you measure it on that vertical datum, and all of the measurements are on the vertical datum. So when you average it and make a mean, the mean is a point on that vertical datum where all of the measurements were taken. It is pretty simple when you know how it occurs, right? And how the mean is derived from measurements on the vertical datum at a location. So the mean is established on that vertical datum at a point. It's a mathematical average of all of the different measurements, and you place that at a point on the datum. That's all it is. The mean is a point on the vertical datum. Now, they think that means it's flat, but it's just a point on the vertical datum. It's not actually flat, it's just a point. Roger thinks it's the average of all of the seas. He's very wrong. But nobody really listens to him anyway. He's a flat earther. People don't like being honest with flat earthers because they get upset and block you. So you can't be honest with them. I think Roger's going to do a show about me, because he's obviously triggered about me being able to prove globe with horizontal distances, because they seem to think it's theirs. You know, I think they think that the horizontal distances and the mean sea level and all of that is flat earth stuff. It's a proof. But they don't want to acknowledge any arguments that may rebut their nonsense claims. So it should be enjoyable this week.
He was a bit.
Roger attempts it.
Yeah, he was a bit like Gemini when he. Sorry, that's me. It was a bit like Gemini when he announced it, because he gave a description of how you see things, or how he understands you see things. There's no relationship at all to anything you say. So, it could be interesting how Roger sees it. And yeah, it could be amusing. But let's hope he does it, because generally when he does something, he says, I'm going to go over this thing today, and he does about 3 minutes. He may not even do any of it. Somebody comes in, derails him, some talk about a band or skating or white women or something like that, and that's it. You never get to the bottom of this deep dive he's going to do into gravity or celestial navigation or surveying.
Yeah. Well, not everybody is as fascinated by flat earthers. I've heard recently, a lot of people that say, what's the use in talking to people? What can you get out of it? Well, me personally, I can get quite a lot out of talking to people. I like conversing with people. I like practicing my logic, my skills of communication. I like practicing rhetoric. I enjoy it all. I think it's all beneficial, talking with anyone. But that's just me. I mean, not everybody has to talk to people. I mean, it seems to me fruitless for people to get upset about people talking to other people. It shouldn't be wanting to be. I mean, if you don't want to be involved in a conversation, then that's fair enough. But I am quite entertained by listening to flat earthers and indeed conversing with them. They don't seem to like conversing with me, but that's not my problem. I'll talk to anyone. In fact, I don't even need to talk to anybody, really. I can make the arguments to rebut when I listen to people talking. People trying to make statements in the chat. They're quite impressive. So I'm guessing, I don't know, but we tried to have a conversation with Nathan Oakley. I tried helping him moderate as well. 10 hours work I put in. Didn't get any pay. I didn't get any thanks either.
Yeah, just speak to Len. He'll probably give you a basic, basic rate.
I even talked to the guys after Nathan left in the chat. Nobody had to pay
That
me
must
for
have
that.
been late.
Yeah. Got a long recording.
Yeah, probably better than Nathan's because he forgot to press record and lost 2.5 hours of his for his uncut and after show. So he has an incomplete version.
I don't think it's somebody in the chat. I don't think anybody can argue shape of the Earth. It's pretty obvious that it is globe. But I mean, what argument could you make? It's just unfortunate that flat earthers can't his globe. That seems to be the biggest problem. You could always look at the moon, right? That'd help, wouldn't it? I don't know how, but the moon's definitely a thing. the lack of I don't know. If Roger Ledwell doesn't know what mean sea level is, and Nathan Oakley doesn't know what a false dichotomy is, or affirming the consequent, and QE doesn't know what a modus tollens is, logical form, then I think within the arena, logic might be dead. It may be that, if we want to talk about logic and, the progression of it, or maybe the demise of it, what's happened, how it occurred that logic has not been taught to anybody. Who's taught you to think? Buster Classic. Who taught you to think? Logos taught me. Took it a few years, right, for me to be able to hear the message, but it was always there. Some people naturally have logic, and maybe they don't realize it. Maybe you don't realize how you naturally use logic every day, but it only becomes apparent when you enter the debate arena. But when you come in and find out there is no debate, there is no argument, then maybe Logos is dead. Maybe it's gone. guys in the chat, you're talking about looking at things. Well, you're talking about metaphysics and that sort of stuff. Images are at the bottom rung, below trust, just imagination. So the more you talk about images and stuff, the more you're just talking about imagination. And although you want to use abstract means, then you probably could use mathematics and geometry to make an argument, but it would be within the abstract. But that's not really, it's not imaginary like the images that you're talking about. You've got to form an argument, reasoning as to go along with it. Just an image doesn't really mean anything. You've got to be able to, reason, make logical connections, form a chain. What time is it? 9:30. Has anybody clicked the link to come in? I doubt it. Nobody wants to try. Is it because it's Discord, or would it be better on TikTok? Do you reckon you could find logic and reasoning on TikTok, or is it just gone? I think if you were to find logic and reasoning anywhere, it'll probably be other than in here and on the Discord, in this Discord. Might be Twitter. Is it? Where's logic and reasoning to be talked about? Where's the best place? Where's the best place for anybody to talk about logic and reason? Maybe we should start pushing it a little bit more. I think we should try and involve as many people as we can. It might not be for everybody. It may be that, quite a few people have given up on logic. I mean, they don't need it, do they? Does everyone need logic, or, can we save it just for the few? I think everyone should be able to apply logic and reason. Some of the words might be a bit, intimidating for people. It may seem a bit daunting at the beginning. A bit like mathematics. You may have been taught that, you're not good at that sort of stuff. Maybe the education system has convinced you that it's not for you. But that might be because you've never really put the pieces together. You might naturally apply logic in your daily life. You might. I know the best logician I've ever met, the one that made me think the most, the one that put me in this position, didn't have a clue what they were saying when they said it. So inspiration can come from many places. People may not even be aware about it. It's all just within the conversation. See, somebody spot there. When people talk about logic and reason, it can drift into shape talk. That's the problem. It's not a problem at all, because that's geometry. And that means that you are applying reasoning if you're talking about shapes, triangles, squares, circles, and there's a logical form behind them. a massive chain of logic that you can put together when you're talking about shape. It's probably one of the best ways to learn logic, through shape, form, line, reasoning. It's the purest form of logic, geometry, and perfectly demonstrated within a book called The Elements. That builds you up from nothing. You don't need anything to be able to begin geometry. This logical form, axiomated logical form. It's beautiful. Poetic even. When you see the reasoning and the chain of reasoning that you can be led on through geometry. So, I mean, I would say that you'd struggle to not talk about shape within logic and reason.
Yeah, I think I said before, it can be a bit daunting, the words and the language surrounding logic, but I do think, perhaps the majority of people, they are using logic in their problem solving or working out, whether they're going to mow the lawn or do the hoovering or pick up the kids or go shopping, which order would be best to get there and maximize their time or whatever. There's a logical process that goes on through most of the everyday tasks that we do and things that we do. Things to work out an answer to a question somewhere in our lives. It's quite simple. It's just, when it's given these words, modus tollens, modus ponens, in a formal way of using it in a debate form, and it can seem a bit daunting. And I guess with a body of knowledge, when you sort of grow and get a body of knowledge about something, then that's that would be the background to your argument, your reasoned position, the experience you've gained, and that can be fixing a car or understanding electronics or whatever anybody does in a job, really. The body of knowledge that would tell you whether something was going to work or it wouldn't work. Something will fit or it won't fit. The kind of a logical path you go through, and people automatically do it, and perhaps don't see it in those terms.
And for that reason, you wouldn't want to. I don't want to push it on anybody that's not. Some people may be averse to logic or whatever. So we say, if you do want to do that, then come into the Discord. Like, we don't need to do it live. We just have a conversation in the Discord. These live shows are just for us to, put it out there that we're open for conversation. We will be noticing a few things, and we do, because we go over most of the stuff nearly every day. I mean, we're in the Discord.
Yeah.
If you want to come and talk, or you want to come and listen, we go over all of the live shows for the people that do all of the stuff in the arena. I'm particularly fascinated with Roger Ledwell, Nathan Oakley, QE, Adam. I've had personal contact with all of them. I've tried to present arguments to all of them. I think I have presented arguments to all of them. And they
don't forget the quiet one. Yeah, don't forget the quiet one, the Viking.
Yeah,
there's interesting character.
There's little characters flying around in the back rooms. Quiet ones. We notice you. We see you. We see what's going on. We see who's trying to influence other people. Yeah. It's all out in the open, right? We are going to be bringing it all out in the open. And if anybody does want to come and have a chat, we're here. You can come.
I think about the arena as a kind of vibrant place of where you might be able to practice some logic or put some argument to work. Something that might intrigue you and seeking an answer. So that's been one of the good things about this topic, this arena, really. That's probably, I don't know, probably like no other. I don't know where else and what other topic would be as interesting for for these thought processes and gaining knowledge. I've gained knowledge from things that are far from the shape of the earth, far from flat earth, the globe, the things that I never thought I'd be talking about Parmenides or Zeno or Greek mythology and Greek philosophy. It's I didn't think that I didn't think there's a need. There wasn't a reason, a consequence. There's no reason for it. In order to understand some things and to get a better knowledge of some things, and that's been necessary to have to sort of take that on and learn something new.
Yeah, I'd say that the journey that I personally have been on has been worthwhile, despite the methods that people used. When you are introduced into the arena, it's definitely worthwhile to be able to understand how logic is applied and dismissed at the same time. The contradictory world that we do live in. It's like, who would you trust to give you advice for this world? I mean, there's a lot of people in the chat. There's a lot of people, in this arena. There's a lot of people that say that they're subject matter experts, and there's only you. Right now, who would you pick to have as your partner to go into? I don't know. Let's say you've got a debate team. Right, and you're going to be up against, I don't know, somebody else's team, right? Who are you going to pick to be your partner in debate about this world? And that's a question for everyone, right? Who's the expert? Is there somebody at a university that you can count on that's going to be your top man? Or you mean there is only you to go team up with them? I mean, normally nobody outside the arena need apply to this, because I mean they've not even been within the arena. So, but people like Nathan Oakley, he's been in the arena for 10 years. Who would Nathan Oakley choose to be his partner in a debate, a 2-on-2 debate about this world and how to prove things positive? Positive proof.
Yeah. Well, I remember asking him, when Dr. Shiva was putting together his idea of having a panel of flat earths, a panel of globers, and come up with an experiment that both sides would agree on, get together, hash out the the parameters of the experiment, and iron out the issues they would have with each other, and then he was going to get 10 MIT engineers to assist in making this experiment possible and see what the end result would be. And I remember talking to Nathan about it. I said, "Oh, have you heard about this?" And he hadn't heard about it. And I said, "Well, what 10 people would you choose?" to go on this venture, because he could have been him. He could have done that.
he could have been one of them. Yeah.
Surely, he was being asked for people to come forward. Dave Weiss had spoken to Dr. Shiva about it, and the dates were set, and come up with your best experiment that would prove the Earth is flat, prove your side, and the Globers were going to do the same. And when I asked Nathan, he said, "I don't need anybody else. I do it on my own, just me. I don't need another 9 people." So I don't know whether his answer would be the same these days.
Didn't ever talk to him though. I mean, how can he do it on his own if he didn't even get in contact with Dr. Shiva? Like, what's going on? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and given what he's saying now, that he's never done anything, I don't quite know what he would. And then when later on Dr. Shiva was presented with some people, he gave them really short shrift and kicked them out and called them all sorts of terrible names I hadn't expected from Dr. Shiva, really. And it was a bit of a setup when it came to it in the end. Toon was there, and it was a bit of a mess, really. But maybe the whole thing was a setup. But the point was, he was inviting 10 people, and I had asked Nathan, what he thought, but I don't know what experiment he would have come up with. Couldn't have been a measurement one, because he has no knowledge in that to go forward. Certainly not on his own. What could he present? Some kind of sexual innuendo, perhaps, as a proof of flat Earth or something.
I don't know. They're talking about teams in the chat as well. Marino.
Teams.
Yeah, about like what your particular team's saying, but I'm not on any team. My proof is my proof. Right? I don't have to prove it for the team. I'm not on any team. Only me that has the proof. So I don't need to. I mean, that's not the way proof works. It's not a team effort. Especially if you can prove it's a false dichotomy. If you can prove it's a false dichotomy, then the sides that you imagine exist are false. They're proved false. So there must be something else. Yeah. There is no sides. So but that relies on people having a common use of logic to be able to do that. You're not going to accept it. Yeah, we're not going to put up another argument in rebuttal to it.
Yeah, we're not a side or a team. I mean, there is teamwork, working together, talking about things, working out some solutions to some ideas. But it's just sort of team effort, teamwork, working together. That's about. There's no team. We're not a side of anything. So
well, it's not for everyone, is it? Like if you don't have an argument, like, nobody's going to say that matters or anything. No, I mean, there's loads of people that haven't got an argument. There's loads of people that haven't got any knowledge. They can't prove anything, and they're okay with that. But this arena that we're in, I've been asked for proof many times. But in order for you to get a proof, you've got to know how to acquire a proof first. I'm not too sure how other people do it. I know I've got a proof of globe. I can't see, it's one of the common things is when people imagine they think of other people, then the only way you can normally think of other people is to think that they're like you, because you can't really imagine anything different than what you do, right? Your thought process and everything is how you think. So, of course, you imagine that other people are like that too. So when you've got a proof, you imagine that other people have got a proof. But if you've got a proof, then you don't need proof from other people. You don't require it. You've already got your own. So it's in a little bit of a strange situation. How do you give somebody a proof? Particularly if when you check about logic to see whether you're talking the same language with logos, logic, and they don't respond in kind, then I would say at that point the communication about the proof is near impossible. You suppose somebody's supposing proof. To me, that isn't how proof works. Proof is a certainty of a truth, but something that I hold. Not can't hand that to anybody else. We can discuss it, but that has seemed rather difficult to have the ability to communicate, particularly if logic's lost. I think there's a chance that modern education, modern society has actually killed logos. Possibly gone for good. But it's not really needed, is it? Modern society. I don't think modern society requires proof of anything. I think most people have been taught that you don't need it. Science can be duplicated. Some profound statements. It helps if, you attach some sort of meaning to the words that you're talking about. But, you'd expect science, right, to be able to apply the cause and effect, much like the fourth law, antecedent consequent. There's a link between the two for me. Logic with antecedent consequent relationships apply directly and linked to cause and effect, much the same way. Where does proof live? Proof is, I guess it lives in the mind, right? It's a truth. Cause and effect. You say something, somebody else says not that. That's the way of the arena, the way of opinion. Sad that no conversation. That's when you know Logos is lost. When people just say ridiculous statements. Possibly QE. Right, I'm going to play a song. This is Nietzsche. Song about Nietzsche and his world. Might come back after this. See you in a bit. Break.
And do you know what the world is to me? Shall I show it to you in my mirror? From silicone sparks to stellar fire, becoming stairs back through the eternal wire. Shrinks or grows in might. It does not spin but only transforms, forever fierce and true. A household sealed in perfect balance. No loss, no gain, just you. Enclosed by nothingness as boundary, sharp and absolute. Not blurry waste or endless void, but force in every root. A play of forces, waves colliding, one yet many shifting tides, increasing here, receding there. Rushing, flowing, eternally changing, flooding back, with years of recurrence, thundering, ebb and flood upon the track. From simplest forms, it strives to complex, rigid, cold, blazing heat, most turbulent, self-contradictory, raw chaos at its peak. Then homeward to the simple once more. Out of abundance it returns, out of contradictions, war to concord's joy. The spirit burns, still affirming every cycle, blessing what must rise again, or becoming without satiety. No disgust, no weary chain. This Dionysian world of fire, self-creating, self-destroying, wild, beyond all good and evil, my truth untamed, undefined. This world is the will to power, and nothing besides. This world is the will to power, and nothing besides. Eternally self-creating, eternally self-destroying flame. You yourselves are this will to power. Feel it surge, scream its name. Will to power, and nothing besides. No goal unless the circle's joy spins eternal in its flight. No will unless the ring itself delights in its own mind. From ancient scrolls to quantum code, Freddy probes this blazing core. The universe's hidden engine, truth seeking evermore. Monster of energy, my mirror shows the same relentless game, where seekers bold in midnight souls ignite its sacred flame. Do you want a name for this world? A solution for every riddle unfurled. A light for the strongest, most intrepid, most midnightly kind. Step into Freddy's mirror, leave your fear behind. This world is the will to power, and nothing besides. This world is the will to power, and nothing besides. You and I and the stars align, this force that never dies, eternally returning Lithia and Freddy in its eyes. Will to power,
I don't know whether we've got anything else. So I think we'll just wait and see. There's going to be Logic nights coming more often. I think mainly it's going to be Logic from here on out. But we will be using the examples from within the arena to expose the lack of logic and understanding that's been made. I don't know whether it's been put within the arena. I think they've developed a little bit of a code, and it's going to have to change because the flat earth is obviously dead. They've got nothing. That was what we experienced yesterday with Nathan Oakley. Despite what Nathan wants to say and his love bombing of his friends, his panel. Despite what they're going to want to tell you, flat earth is dead. It's gone. Most people understand that within the arena. But they're going to have to pick other conspiracy theories from now on, I think. Which does also leave open for Logic. So we will be doing more about Logic and exposing stuff within the arena. I'd like to write an entire series of arguments that people can relate to in reality. Obviously, are better than the examples of arguments that are available when you Google them. And I think it might be a good idea for us to do fallacy as well. I know I've got a really good example of affirming the consequent fallacy to explain
That sounds
to
a good
anybody.
idea, yeah.
And
Everyday arguments for the common man.
yeah. For, so if you ever
Yeah,
meet
something
a
simple.
flat earther, then you could present them with a pretty simple argument, or a series of arguments that can be presented to just about anybody, really, just to for discussion, because that's what arguments are. We're not talking about bickering and shouting and homosexual acts upon other people or anything like that. There's no need for any of that. When we're talking about arguments, we're just talking about a logical chain of events that you can conclude through reasoning and share that with somebody else, a common fact. I'm pretty sure that's a bot, Emma. I think that happens on quite a few other platforms as well. They just bots sort of communicate with each other. Maybe it happens on YouTube. Maybe to engage conversation, but we didn't put the bots in the YouTube chat. If anybody's thinking that we did, that wasn't us. I don't know what they're talking about, but they're obviously bots communicating with each other about something completely irrelevant or whatever. So I think I did another one, right? What I tend to do with the music and stuff is I find something that I would like to try and remember, and I put it into a song or whatever. Now, people are aware of Plato. Plato, obviously being a playwright, he wrote about theatocracy, which is the crowd, the audience, imagining they have a say within the play, and what happens when the audience starts to have a say in the play, the entertainment that's going on. So I put it into a song. AI. I will play out for that, I think. This is called Theatocracy's Warning. And we'll see you, I don't know, maybe tomorrow, 4th of July. Would be good for doing a Fourth Law on the 4th of July. So, maybe tomorrow, I don't know. But yeah, I'll be around a bit more.
The Autocracy's Warning. In ancient halls where muses reigned, the crowd sat silent, judges trained. Hymns to gods in measured tone, no mixing sacred with the profane unknown. But pleasure crept where skill had stood, poets chased cheers for fleeting good. The theater rose with noisy claim, whatever pleases bears the name. Logos whispers in the deep, beneath the word, the silent leap. And the meme that needs no shout, the ordered soul still seeks it out. When crowds become the final judge, the laws grow weak, the virtues budge. Yet harmony still calls us home. Tune the heart before the throne. Today the streams pour night and day, algorithms feed the loudest sway. Short hooks flash, emotions raw, the theater never sleeps, never waits. We scroll as judges, thumbs decide what rises up or what truths subside. Old warnings echo, still unheeded, yet in the background logos needed. So choose the music that shapes the soul, not only pleasure, but the whole. Pair the fire with the measured line, read the ancients, let their light shine. Create with craft, support the true, teach the young what harmony can do. One quiet listener at a time turns the autocracy back to rhyme. The premise stands though left unsaid, all things participate in the head. In cosmic order, rhythmic law, ignore it long and watch it fall. But heed the quiet, hold the thread, the soul that listens is not dead. Logos whispers in the deep, and the meme that needs no shout. Music, rhyme, and reasoned art, keep the hidden bridge in